Former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James won legal victories on Monday after a federal judge threw out the criminal charges against them brought by Donald Trump's Justice Department. The judge in the cases ruled that the U.S. attorney, handpicked by Trump to bring the cases, was unlawfully appointed, dealing a major blow to the DOJ's prosecution of perceived political enemies of the president. Both Comey and James had led investigations into Trump. He later publicly called for prosecutions of both figures. Critics called the charges against them politically motivated. Lindsay Halligan, a former personal attorney to Trump, was named interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia in September to take over both investigations despite having no previous prosecutorial experience.
Okay, so let me just set this up for you real quick, because what happened in the last 48 hours is absolutely insane, and I mean that. I do not throw that word around lightly anymore, because everything feels insane these days, right? But this one is different. This one hit different, and I need you to understand why. I need you to really grasp what just went down, because the mainstream media is not giving you the full story. They are giving you bits and pieces when you need the whole picture. So let me lay it all out for you right now, because this is the kind of story that changes everything. This is the kind of moment where you look back and say, that is when things started falling apart for them. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
This is not about me. This is about all of us.
Comey has pleaded not guilty to charges of making false statements and obstructing Congress. James has pleaded not guilty to charges of bank fraud and lying to a financial institution. The judge ruled Halligan, quote, had no legal authority to bring indictments against either Comey or James. But the cases were dismissed, quote, without prejudice, giving the Justice Department an opportunity to refile the charges under a different prosecutor.
Picture this. President Trump has been on this whole revenge tour, right? We all know about it. He has been going after his enemies, the people who investigated him, the people who prosecuted him, the people who just looked at him funny, honestly. And his Justice Department has been more than happy to help him do it. They have been filing cases left and right, going after former FBI directors, going after state attorneys general, going after anyone and everyone who ever crossed Donald Trump. They thought they had this all figured out. They thought they could just steamroll through the legal system and get their revenge without any pushback. They thought wrong. And then a judge steps in and everything falls apart. I am talking complete collapse. 2 major cases gone. Just like that. Thrown out. Dismissed. Done. Finished. Over. Come on. Are you kidding me right now? This is not how Trump's team expected this week to go. This is not what they planned for. They had these big showcase prosecutions lined up. They were going to make examples out of James Comey and Letitia James. They were going to show everyone what happens when you cross Donald Trump. And instead they got embarrassed in open court. They got their cases thrown out. They got exposed. See, here's the thing that makes this so wild. This was not some minor procedural hiccup. This was not some technicality that they can just fix and refile next week. No. The judge basically said that Trump's entire legal operation was built on a house of cards, that they cut corners, that they bent the rules, that they were so desperate to get their revenge that they did not even bother to do it the right way. And now that is all documented. Now that is all in the court record. Now everyone can see exactly how sloppy and desperate this whole operation really was. And now Trump's team is scrambling. They are trying to figure out what went wrong. They are trying to spin this to the media. They are trying to act like it is no big deal, like it is just a minor setback. But here is the reality. This is a massive deal. This is the kind of thing that does not just embarrass you. It exposes you. It puts all your dirty laundry out there for the whole world to see. It creates a roadmap for everyone who wants to hold you accountable. It gives your enemies exactly what they need to fight back. Because here is what else just dropped at the exact same time. Reuters, one of the biggest and most respected news organizations in the entire world, they just released this massive investigation. And what they found is absolutely jaw-dropping. They found that Trump's retribution machine has targeted at least 470 people and entities. 470? Let that sink in for a second. Let that number really marinate in your brain. We are talking firings, investigations, funding threats, legal actions, all of it coordinated, all of it documented, All of it aimed at people Trump considers his enemies. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is systematic revenge on a scale we have never seen before from an American president. And now all of that documentation, all of those internal orders and lists and directives, it is all out there. It is all evidence. Evidence that could be used against them in future lawsuits. Evidence that could be used in congressional probes. Evidence that could turn Trump's own revenge blueprint into the very thing that takes him down. This is wild. Can you believe this? I mean, seriously, can you actually believe what we are watching unfold right now? Trump wanted revenge. He wanted to use the full power of the federal government to destroy his enemies, and instead he might have just handed them exactly what they need to destroy him. So let me break down what actually happened here. Because the mainstream media, they are covering this, sure, but they are not telling you the full story. They are not connecting all the dots. They are giving you pieces when you need the whole picture. They are giving you fragments when you need to see the entire mosaic. What we witnessed in the last couple of days is nothing less than a federal judge looking at Trump's Justice Department and saying, nope, not today. You do not get to do this. You do not get to weaponize the legal system for personal vendettas. You do not get to install your loyalists in key positions just so they can prosecute your enemies. That is not how America works. All right, let us get into it. Let us really dig into what happened here. Because I know a lot of you are probably wondering, okay, what exactly did the judge do? What were these cases about? And why does it matter so much? Why should I care? These are fair questions, and I am going to answer all of them right now. Because once you understand what actually happened in that courtroom, once you see the full picture, you are going to understand why Trump's team is in full panic mode right now. You are going to understand why this changes everything. So here is the deal. On November 24th and 25th, so literally just in the last couple of days, U.S. District Judge Cameron McGowan Curry threw out criminal cases against two very big names. We are talking about former FBI Director James Comey, and we are talking about New York Attorney General Letitia James, two of the biggest names on Trump's enemy list. These are not random people. These are not minor figures. These are the people Trump has been obsessed with for years. The people he has ranted about at rally after rally. The people he has posted about online constantly. And his Justice Department went after them and failed spectacularly. Now, if you have been following Trump at all, you know these two names. These are people Trump has been obsessed with for years. Comey, obviously, because of the whole Russia investigation thing back in his first term. Trump has never forgiven him for that. Never. He blamed Comey for everything that went wrong in those early years. He fired him. He attacked him publicly. He made it clear that Comey was enemy number one. And Letitia James, she went after Trump's business empire in New York and won. She got massive judgments against him. She exposed all sorts of fraud in his organization. She made him look bad in front of the whole world. These are people Trump has publicly said he wanted to see prosecuted. He has talked about it at rallies. He has posted about it online constantly. He made it very, very clear. These people need to pay. And so, when Trump got back into the White House for his second term, what did his Justice Department do? They went after them. They filed criminal cases. They were going to make Trump's revenge fantasy a reality. They were going to deliver what the boss wanted. They were going to show everyone that crossing Donald Trump has consequences. This was supposed to be the big moment. The moment when Trump finally got his payback. The moment when his enemies learned their lesson. But here is where it gets interesting. Here's where the whole thing falls apart like a cheap suit in a rainstorm. Because they got so eager, so desperate to deliver for Trump that they forgot to actually do things the right way. To prosecute these cases, Trump's team needed to install the right people in the right positions. They needed prosecutors who would actually go along with this. Prosecutors who would not ask too many questions. Prosecutors who would just do what they were told. And so they put Lindsay Halligan in place as a U.S. attorney. Now Halligan is a Trump loyalist through and through. She was one of his personal lawyers during all those investigations into him. She defended him in court. She is a true believer. And they wanted her running these prosecutions because they knew she would deliver what Trump wanted. She would not hesitate. She would not ask questions. She would just go after the targets and get results. The problem? They did not do it the right way. They did not follow the proper procedures for installing a U.S. attorney. They just kind of shoved her into the position and hoped nobody would notice. They figured they could just bulldoze through the process and nobody would say anything. They figured the rules did not apply to them. They figured that if they moved fast enough and acted confident enough, everyone would just go along with it. Well, the judge noticed. The judge looked at how Halligan was installed and said, this is not valid. This does not count. You cannot just put whoever you want in these positions without following the rules. There are procedures. There are requirements. You have to actually follow them. And if the prosecutor was not properly appointed, well, then the cases she is bringing are not valid either. Boom. Both cases dismissed, gone over, and like, come on. This is so typical, right? Trump's whole operation has always been about cutting corners, about bending rules, about doing whatever they want, and assuming they will get away with it, because they always have before. And this time it blew up in their faces, spectacularly. This time someone actually checked their work. This time a judge actually looked at what they were doing and said, no, this is not how any of this works. You have to follow the rules like everyone else. But here's what makes this even more damaging. It is not just that the cases got thrown out. It is what the judge said in the ruling. The judge basically laid out all the dirty laundry, all the internal maneuvering, all the political pressure, all the ways they tried to game the system. The judge created this document that shows exactly how Trump's Justice Department tried to weaponize prosecutions for political revenge. Legal experts are already saying this opinion is devastating, and I mean devastating. It is not just a loss for Trump. It is evidence. It is documentation. It is proof that can be used in future lawsuits, future ethics complaints, future congressional investigations. The judge basically handed Trump's opponents a gift-wrapped package of ammunition to use against them. And then we have got the Reuters investigation, which dropped at basically the exact same time. And honestly, the timing could not be worse for Trump if you tried to plan it that way. So Reuters did this deep dive into Trump's retribution operation. They spent months on this. They talked to sources inside the administration. They reviewed internal documents. And what they found is it is a lot. It is overwhelming, actually. They found that at least 470 people and entities have been targeted. 470. We are talking former government officials who served their country. We are talking lawyers who were just doing their jobs, representing clients. We are talking universities trying to educate students. We are talking private companies that somehow ended up on Trump's bad side. Anyone who Trump or his allies perceived as an enemy, they went after them. And it is not just random either. This is not chaotic revenge. Reuters found internal orders, lists, directives, actual documents from Trump allies like Kash Patel, mapping out exactly who should be punished and how they should be punished. It is coordinated. It is systematic. It is basically a revenge bureaucracy operating out of the federal government. Now think about what that means for a second. All of these internal documents, all of these lists and orders, they exist. They are real. They are out there somewhere in government files. And now that Reuters has exposed them, they can be subpoenaed. They can be used as evidence in court. They can be cited in lawsuits and congressional investigations. Trump's own revenge blueprint, the very thing he created to go after his enemies, is now a weapon that can be used against him. Can you believe this? It is like you cannot make this stuff up. A novelist would reject this plot as too on the nose, too perfect in its irony. And here is the thing that most people do not understand about this story. Here's what the media is not really emphasizing enough. This is not just about James Comey and Letitia James. This is about the entire retribution strategy. Because if these two high-profile cases can get thrown out this easily, what does that say about all the other cases? What does that say about all the other targets on that 470-person list? What does it say about the whole operation? Trump's legal team has to be sweating right now because the playbook they have been using, the judge just ripped it apart publicly. They tried to install loyalists in key positions without following proper procedures. They tried to bring politically motivated prosecutions without doing the basic legwork, and the courts said no. Hard no. So now what? Now they have to go back to the drawing board. Now they have to figure out a new strategy, a strategy that can actually survive judicial scrutiny. And honestly, I am not sure they know how to do that, because their whole approach has been based on the assumption that they could just do whatever they want, that rules do not apply to them, that they are above it all. All right, so let us break this down into the key points. Let us make sure we all understand exactly what happened here and why it matters going forward, because there is a lot to unpack, and I want to make sure you are walking away with the full picture. I want to make sure you understand not just what happened, but what it means, what comes next, why this moment matters more than any other moment in Trump's second term so far. Point number 1. Trump's Justice Department fumbled in a major way. And I mean major, historic fumble. They tried to prosecute James Comey and Letitia James, two people Trump has publicly been obsessed with for years, two people he has ranted about at rally after rally, and they could not even do it right. They installed Lindsey Halligan as a U.S. attorney without following proper procedures. The judge caught it immediately. The cases got thrown out. This is basic stuff. This is following the rules 101. First day of law school stuff. and they could not even manage that. What does this tell us? It tells us that Trump's legal operation is sloppy, embarrassingly sloppy. They are so eager to get revenge that they do not take the time to do things the right way. They assume they can just power through on vibes and loyalty. And when a judge actually looks at what they are doing with any scrutiny at all, it all falls apart completely. Point number 2. The judge's ruling is now public evidence. This is huge, absolutely huge, because the judge did not just dismiss the cases and move on. The judge explained exactly why in detail. The judge documented how Trump's team tried to manipulate the system. Every sketchy move, every corner they cut, all of that is now in the court record forever. All of that can be referenced in future cases. All of that can be used by watchdog groups, by congressional investigators, by anyone who wants to hold Trump's Justice Department accountable. In trying to pursue revenge, they accidentally created a roadmap of their own misconduct. You cannot buy this kind of irony. It is almost poetic in how perfectly it backfired on them. Point number 3. The Reuters investigation changes everything. 470 targets. That is how many people and entities Trump's retribution machine has gone after. And Reuters did not just give us a number and call it a day. They gave us details, internal orders, lists, directives, names of people like Kash Patel who are orchestrating this whole thing from inside the government. This is not speculation anymore. This is not rumor or hearsay. This is documented. This is sourced. This is the kind of investigative reporting that wins Pulitzer Prizes and leads to real-world consequences. And here's what is wild about that number. 470. Think about how many people that is. Think about how many lives that represents. Think about the scope of it. Former officials who dedicated their entire careers to public service. Lawyers who were just doing their jobs representing clients. Universities trying to educate the next generation. Private companies that somehow ended up on Trump's bad side for one reason or another. These are not cartoon villains. These are real people with real families, real institutions that serve real communities. And they have all been targeted by the most powerful government in the world because one man decided they were his enemies. One man with a grudge and the power of the federal government behind him. Point number 4. This is a turning point. And I do not say that lightly. I am not being dramatic here because up until now, Trump's retribution strategy has kind of just worked. They have been able to fire people at will, launch investigations into anyone they want, threaten funding, cancel grants, and there has not been a lot of successful pushback. People have complained. Sure, but the machine kept rolling. But this is different. A federal judge looked at 2 of their showcase cases, the kind of cases Trump has been dreaming about for years, the cases he wanted more than anything, and threw them out, not on some obscure technicality, but because Trump's team fundamentally did not follow the rules, because they were sloppy and arrogant and assumed they could get away with anything. That sends a message to everyone watching. It tells people that you can push back, that the courts still matter, that you cannot just weaponize the legal system for personal vendettas without any consequences at all. Now, what happens next? That is the big question everyone is asking. Because Trump's team is not just going to give up. We all know that. They are probably already trying to figure out how to refile these cases, how to do it the right way this time, how to get their revenge through proper channels that will actually hold up in court. But here's the problem for them. The damage is already done. The ruling is out there for everyone to read. The Reuters investigation is out there. Everyone knows what they are trying to do now. Everyone can see the game they are playing. The element of surprise is gone. The cover is blown. And that makes everything harder going forward. Much harder. Because now everything they do is going to be scrutinized intensely. Every appointment they make, every prosecution they bring, every move they make will be examined. Judges are going to look at it more carefully. The public is going to be watching. The media is going to be all over it. Trump wanted to operate in the shadows. He wanted to quietly dismantle his enemies, while everyone else looked the other way or focused on other stories. And instead he has got spotlights on him from every direction. Every move illuminated, every scheme exposed. So where does this leave us? Well, it leaves us in a pretty interesting place actually, because for the first time in a while, there is real pushback happening, real consequences. Trump's team made a big move, and they got checked hard. They swung for the fences and struck out completely. That does not mean it is over. Not by a long shot. It does not mean Trump is going to stop trying. We all know him way better than that by now. He is going to keep going after his enemies. He is going to keep trying to use the Justice Department as his personal revenge tool. That is who he is. That is what he does. But now there is a blueprint for fighting back. Now there is legal precedent. Now there is documented evidence of how they operate and where they cut corners. And all of that makes it harder for them to succeed going forward. I have got to be honest with you. I did not see this coming. Not like this. I figured these cases would just kind of proceed through the system, that Trump would get his show trials, that Comey and Letitia James would have to fight these battles in court for years while Trump celebrated. But one judge, one federal judge who actually did their job, changed everything in a single ruling. And that gives me some hope, some small but real amount of hope that the system still works, that the courts can still be a check on power, that revenge is not as easy as Trump thought it would be. So keep watching this story, because it is not over, not even close. There are going to be appeals. There are going to be new strategies from Trump's team. There are going to be more revelations from that Reuters investigation as people dig deeper. And I am going to be here covering all of it, every twist, every turn, every time Trump's team stumbles, every time the courts push back, every new development. Because this is the fight of our time. This is what happens when someone tries to turn the Justice Department into a weapon of personal revenge. And we are all watching it play out in real time. All right, that is what I have got for you today. If you made it this far, you are a real one. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Is this the beginning of the end for Trump's revenge strategy? Or is this just a speed bump on the road to something worse? Next video, we are going to dig even deeper into that 470-person list. Who is on it exactly? Why were they targeted? And what are they doing to fight back? You are going to want to see what we found. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss that one.